So if you've been a viewer of the channel for a while, you might remember back in November when I just took off driving and did an entire episode on the places I visited, because West Virginia is just so filled with history and unique little places. And I did a whole video where I just covered some of those, little tidbits of history I had learned. Do you want to see me do it again? If you've ever talked to your doctor about the benefits of road trip therapy, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm the Best Virginian. I do West Virginia history and travel videos, a little bit of true crime, a little bit of the paranormal, all from here in the mountain state of West Virginia. And today, I took a little trip over to the Potomac Highlands. I started out in Buchanan, and then I ended up in Davis, then I ended up in Seneca Rocks. I actually went all the way down to Green Bank, but today I'm only going to talk about Buchanan, actually right outside Buchanan, Davis, and the Seneca Rocks regions. So you might be wondering what spurred on this little road trip, and it was actually the weather played a major role in it. I need to get out, I need to hit the road, but it was supposed to be like 95 in north central West Virginia that day, so I decided, screw it, I'll go over to the mountains, I'll go up in altitude, and that was actually a really good choice. It was supposed to get up to like almost 95 in this part of West Virginia, the northern part of West Virginia, but when I was down around like the Seneca Rock region at like 3 in the afternoon, it was only like 85 in the sun. Once you got into the shade, the temperature dropped even more. So it was overall a really good idea. And today we're going to talk about some of the places I went to. Now, the first stop I made was I was going to stop at the Antique Mall in Buchanan, West Virginia. I've actually been looking for an antique record player, antique turntable for a while now, and I decided to stop there. The only downside was I had woken up at like 7 in the morning, and that place doesn't open till 10. I'm completely used to places not being open because I don't wake up until like 11 or noon, and by the time I get there, it's like 7 o'clock in the evening. So this was completely foreign to me. Like, what do you do when you're stuck somewhere and they haven't even opened up yet? Luckily, I live in West Virginia, where there's history literally everywhere, and one of the places I'd always wanted to visit around the Buchanan area was the Pringle Tree. Yes, you heard me right, the Pringle Tree. It's a tree that grows sour cream and onion Pringles. No, it's actually named after the Pringle brothers, whose history we're going to get into right meow. The year was about 1764. Two brothers were living in the Fort Pitt area, which is now modern-day Pittsburgh up in Pennsylvania. They were actually conscripts into the British Continental Army. At that point, the United States wasn't a thing yet, and one day they just decided, you know what, let's just desert, let's just run away from Fort Pitt. It was during the middle of the 7 Years' War, and they ended up hiking over 130 miles to what is now the Buchanan region, and decided, you know what, we're gonna live in the sycamore tree. They moved to West Virginia and decided that they were tree people now, and they were going to live in this giant sycamore tree. Shortly after the 7 Years' War wrapped up, the brothers actually went back to Fort Pitt once they kind of decided that they were probably no longer going to be killed for desertion, and kind of got a group of people to actually settle in the part of West Virginia that they had lived in. A little part of me wants to believe that they tried convincing these people to also become tree people and live in trees. But most likely they knew the area was a good place for a settlement, and it became one of the first major settlements in northern West Virginia. And this park is actually pretty neat. The roadside marker is actually about 2 miles away from it, and then you have to go down through this holler to actually get to the site of the Pringle Tree. The Pringle Tree that stands there today is actually the 3rd generation Pringle Tree. The first one the brothers lived in, I believe, was killed by disease, but it grew back, and the second one was, I believe, destroyed during a flood, and this is the 3rd Pringle Tree. They've built a little fence around it to try and protect it, but as you can see in the pictures, there's one branch that's just going full rogue because you can't cage in the Pringle Tree. You can't do it. Now, my next stop of the day was the iconic Blackwater Falls State Park in Davis, West Virginia. Blackwater Falls became a state park in 1937, and the waters, as you can see in this clip right here, get their amber color from the spruce and hemlock needles, which creates a naturally occurring acid called tannic acid. If you've ever had to clean pine needles out of your gutters and it like kind of burns your hands a little bit, that's tannic acid. That is, again, it's a naturally occurring substance, but it is a very low-grade acid. And if you ever get an opportunity to visit Blackwater Falls State Park, it is one of the most iconic, most photographed, and most recognizable waterfalls in all of West Virginia. They also have over 20 miles of hiking paths, cabins, a lodge, camping opportunities, and fishing opportunities. I somehow completely missed the fact that the lodge is undergoing like major renovations, and I really need to start researching these places better before I go there, but I think that takes some of the fun out of it, so I probably never will. I'll probably just keep showing up at these places and like half of them, half the location being closed. But I definitely want to go back, do some more hiking at Blackwater Falls State Park. Now, my last stop of the day was Seneca Rocks. It is a 900-foot geological structure, a giant rocky crag shooting out of the Appalachian wilderness. I got there around 3 in the afternoon, and the temperature, again, was only about 85 in the sun. Once you actually got in the shade, it was much nicer. It was a way better alternative than just sweating it out in north central West Virginia. Now, I thought about getting a bite to eat as soon as I got there. There's this really nice little, country store restaurant called Yoakum's, because I hadn't eaten since like 8 in the morning, and I knew I could get some good pictures from across the street, but I thought, okay, well, if there's this observation platform that will allow me to get some better pictures, I'll get some pictures, then I'll get bite to eat, and then maybe I'll do some hiking and backpacking around. Yeah, that was a stupid mistake, probably because I'm a stupid person. No, to get to the observation platform, it was actually a 1.5 mile hike with a 900-foot elevation change during the hike. I left my extra, camera equipment in the car. I left my GoPro in the car. I didn't even take a water bottle, and I did the entire hike in Vans. I did the entire hike to the top of Seneca Rocks in flat sole skating shoes. I was not well prepared, but you know who was well prepared to come to Seneca Rocks? The United States military. You might not know this, but in the 1940s, in the early days of World War II, some 100,000 soldiers were trained at what was then called the West Virginia Maneuver Area. This was a special training facility designed by the United States military to train soldiers in mountainous combat. This area was also home to the Army's only pack mule training center, and I like to believe there was at least one guy that got drafted into the military, and they asked him, like, you want to do infantry? No. You want to fly planes, do like Air Force stuff? Nope. You want to train pack mules? I'm in. Like, what one guy had to have just been like, yes, I'm here to train the pack mules. And for this reason, the area actually, still to this day, people are still finding live munitions and explosives from this time period. There's actually some warning signs in certain areas that are like, hey, don't be doing metal detecting, don't be doing anything with high-powered magnets, because this area, still to this day, has explosives that you might accidentally uncover and set off. And with that being said, hope you enjoy this video, and until next time, don't forget to stay wild, stay wonderful. Maybe hit that subscribe button, like, comment, tell your friends about it. But I'll talk to you later.